Is it time for recess yet? I'm so glad you found time to join us here on the Childcare Director's Chair, where Erica Sacoccio shares her best practices that she's refined through her passion of directing childcare centers over the last 23 years. From parenting interaction, systems to save you time, money, and stress, to profitability. She shares it all from the Childcare Director's Chair.
Hey guys, so if you have ever wondered what it was like to be a childcare director, besides crazy and what you see in the tabloids, well, today we're going to talk about it. I am joined with a real live childcare director. Woo! Just like you, just like me. We're going to talk about what it really takes and what it really means to be a childcare director. So we are joined with Leslie. Leslie is in the beautiful state of Florida. It's a little rainy there today. And guess what? It's raining here in Rhode Island too. But anyway, let's get to it. Welcome to the show, Leslie.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here. I listen, so I'm happy to be a part of it.
I love when listeners come on the show. Literally is my favorite. So let's talk about, how did you end up here in this position of being a childcare director?
That's a great question. I don't think anybody ever goes into it like, I'm going to be a director. I think we all kind of start in the teaching world. I actually grew up, my mom was a director my whole life when I was a kid. So I was like, I'm never going to go into childcare. I never want to do what she does. And so when I had kids, I started working at a preschool, teaching a music class. Like, this is perfect. This is all I want to do. And then they quickly roped me into teaching. So I started teaching at a private school classroom, and then it just kind of progressed. I was at a private Christian school for a long time as their preschool director, and then sort of said, okay, our school was very small. I think I had a max of 40 kiddos, and said, okay, what more is there? There obviously has to be more to this world. So I kind of took the next steps and found Kids Grow Preschool here in Orlando. And that's where I've landed and stayed for almost 4 years at this point. So it's a really cool place to be.
Yeah. It's funny because so many folks that I talk to, I didn't know I was going to be a childcare director either. Like, I used to sell furniture, and then I had my kid, and I was like, I'm not leaving my kid with people I didn't know. And then, I went and looked at schools, and we signed each other up. Like, she was coming and I was going with her. And here we are many, many, many years later. So folks that are watching the show or listening to the show today, who might be on the cusp of, I'm thinking about becoming a childcare director. And it seems scary right now because everything I see on social media and TikTok is no one likes it. Everybody's quitting and it's horrible, right? And the bosses are mean and, all the things, we're underworked and overpaid and all the, that was funny. That's an oxymoron what I just said. But, but most of us who are doing it still love it and we still stay. So let's talk about it. What does like a typical day look like for you?
Okay, so there's no 2 days that are ever really the same, which is one of the things I love. So I don't like being bored. I was diagnosed with ADHD like super early in life, in like first grade. So this is actually really awesome for people who have that kind of thing going on. Everything's always different. So a typical day, you could walk in and, there's parents waiting to talk to you and they have questions, they have concerns, or their new child is starting with you and they have questions and they want to be, calmed and soothed and kind of walked through their kiddo's day. A lot of our job is dealing with adults. Like, when I got into directing, I thought, oh, I love kids. This is going to be great. But no, we deal with more. I'd say my job is like 80% grown-ups and 20% kids. Managing your staff to say, who needs this professional development? Which classroom do I need to be in? Who needs my hands? I think I miss teaching. I think most directors would say the same thing that came from teaching. Like, it's something that I find joy when I get to go in a classroom and just kind of be that extra hands. Oh, you need me to help change diapers. You need me to wash the tables, whatever you need, because you don't get to do those things. You're sometimes stuck in your office with paperwork, which is a normal part of our job. It depends on where you are and how much you have to do. But, some of us have help and some don't. But the bigger centers, we have help. And I'm so thankful for great assistant directors and admin assistants.
Yeah, me too. Hey, it's Erica here, and I've got something super exciting to share with you. If you're in the world of early childhood education, you cannot miss the Early Childhood Empowerment Conference. And I'm not just saying that. Trust me, this is where the magic happens. Over the course of 3 days, we're all about learning, connecting, and reigniting that spark that brought you into the field in the first place. And let me tell you, this conference is packed with goodness. Day one is all about leadership. We've got 5 incredible presenters who will walk you through the business side of running your program. Plus, it's more intimate, a retreat-style day with only 80 administrators, so you'll get tons of face time and an opportunity to connect. And to close out the day, a fun, hilarious comedy show and dinner with Jay Yoder from the Board Teacher Comedy Tour. He graces the stages all over the country. Day 2 is a day full-blown conference with 50 vendors, 14 amazing speakers, plus 2, not 1, but 2 keynote addresses that will leave your head full of fresh ideas. Oh, and did I mention, you can also get a free professional headshot. You can even hop on an ECE podcast and share your expertise with the world. So much fun packed into one day. And then day 3, you get to relax. We're heading over to Urban Sweat, where you can treat yourself however you want. Whether you want to unwind in a Himalayan salt cave, you want to get into a yoga class, or just enjoy a relaxing massage, you will leave totally recharged. You can book your services directly with Rafa and pick exactly what you need. So are you in? Don't miss out 3 days of empowerment, inspiration, and just pure connection with your ECE community. I can't wait to see you there. So let's do this. Links below. See you soon. And you're right, every day is so different, right? And sometimes if you have 2 or 3 days that are really calm, we're going to talk you all out of it. But no, if you have 2 or 3 days that really are just like super easy peasy, you're like, what's going on? Am I missing something? Did I forget? Is somebody out tomorrow? Like, because yeah, you can get into, I feel like it kind of ebbs and flows, right?
It does. I
So
think there's definitely times of crazy, like 1 week, like, of course, now we're in the holidays. So then you have extra staff that are off for vacations. You have parents that are going on vacations. You have school performances and classroom parties, and that brings more people and stress but it's situational.
yeah, I think too, one of the things is when you become really in tune with the way that it ebbs and flows, you can prepare better. So we know there's certain times of the year that are really busy, right? Like September, right? It's going to be a lot more things to do, a lot more new families, a lot more new children, sometimes new paperwork, getting people enrolled, all those things. So, when you're really good at it, you make sure you prepare for that. And the same thing with vacations. Like you notice, like you said, staff will be on vacations, but children will be on vacations. That's a great time to get caught up. I love getting ready for like the start of the year, and I clean my office and I get, organized and, kind of like focus on what does the next year look like and what kind of strategy are we going to employ to make sure that we stay full, to make sure our teachers stay, right? So you get really good at almost the way that you did lesson planning is almost the way that you work on what you're going to work on in particular months, right? Yeah. So what would you say the top 5 skills are that you believe are essential for someone to succeed as a childcare director?
That's a 5. Okay. So the first one is flexibility. In 10%, you have to be able to drop one fire to go to the next fire, to come back to the fire. Being flexible and being, I'm a big person on being humble. Like, I don't know everything. I don't pretend to know everything. I lead that way out of that, that humility to say, if you need help changing diapers, mopping floors, I will never be, director, I can't do those things. No, I will gladly put some gloves on and help you wherever needed. Humility, flexibility. I would say time management. That's a big part of your job, to know the most important tasks of your day. I sit down each morning when I come in and make a brain dump, because we all have that happens all the way that you're driving to school. You're like, oh, I need to do this. And being able to kind of say, okay, I need to make sure today I focus on X, Y, Z. I can push this till tomorrow, or I can do it this afternoon, because inevitably when you walk in the door, something's going to happen and you're not going to start on that list right away. It's being able to kind of push that off to where you need to. I say you have to be loving. We are all part of the childcare world. My whole thing for myself is I lead with love. I lead the way I want to be led. I love other people. And that means showing grace. When people have something going on at home, your teachers, they're humans. Like, they have days that are just hard. and being able to kind of sense that and say, how can I help you? And knowing a little bit about their personal lives. They have kids at home, they have a husband, and, their stress and struggles is important to be connected. You really have to love the people well that you have. I think how many is that? 4? I get distracted. Flexibility, humility, leading with love. I would say you have to have fun.
Yeah. Yes.
This job, it could be anything, but you have to have a good sense of humor to laugh off the crazy stuff that happens. There's stories that you're going to be able to tell as a director that no one will ever understand outside this world.
Yes.
The crazy things you deal with to say, so-and-so was climbing on the table today, but that was normal. The little random things along the way. Yeah, I think those are the big ones. And caring. I mean, really, you have to care for the people, love and care those who are around you, like not just your teachers, but also the families. Like those are your people who are your stakeholders. They're important in making those connections with people and, talking, a lot of talking.
Yeah.
Do a lot of talking.
Yeah. That's probably why so many of us have podcasts. I love you said, like lead with love. So give us an example, because some people really struggle with this, right? Because I think there's a lot of conversation around what type of leader we should be. And should we, be a servant leader? Should we lead with love? Or should we, make sure there's accountability and that there's boundaries? And there's a lot of talk about that, right? Boundaries, that's the buzzword, right? And leading with love doesn't mean not having boundaries, and it doesn't mean not being accountable. Give folks, especially again, because the people watching this might be considering moving into that field of being a director and not know really what does that look like.
So on a normal kind of interaction with a staff person, for me, leading with love does not mean that you're a doormat. It does not mean that I don't have boundaries and I have standards as a director. We have rules, regulations. Those are things that don't change. But there are kind of some things along the way, like the conversations that you have with people when something goes wrong, right? You could bring somebody in and you could read them the riot act and say, I can't believe you would do this. How could you, have that child sit in that diaper for that long, blah, 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 and the parent complained. Or you can come at it from the loving aspect and say, hey, what was going on in your classroom that day that, things got away from you? What are some things we can work on with you to kind of help you with that time management? Or, tell me what happened. Was somebody extra in your classroom that day that you needed an extra set of hands that you could have called somebody for? I always go back to how would I want to be treated in a situation when I made a mistake? I don't need somebody to tell me I messed up. I already know. You already know. When we make mistakes, we know. And instead of coming at it from the authoritative standpoint of I'm right, you're wrong, da 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 da, it's the explain to me what happened. The same way you would approach a child. We do a lot of conscious discipline stuff here. So it's kind of like talking through the emotions behind something and really caring about the person rather than knowing that they did something wrong. Yes, they're going to get written up. There's still things going in your file, but finding out the why behind something sometimes opens up this whole door that you never knew was there, to make that connection with the person and have that moment to say, I didn't know you were struggling with that, that stressor in your classroom. Now I know, call me when it happens and I will step in, as a director, that's what we always want. We don't want to sit in our office. I want you to call me. I want you to need me. And we don't always know what's going on in our rooms because there are things that bring you to your office and you have to stay and you have to get it done. But if someone calls, we drop it, you drop it and you go. And I always tell them, I would much rather be with you than in here with my papers.
Yeah.
So tell me what you need. And I think that's leading with love. It's how do you want to be led? And my intention is always all the things that you're thinking need to come out of your mouth in a loving way. It doesn't mean it's not corrective because a parent still corrects their child. It means that it has a different connotation behind it. It doesn't have this harsh behind it. It's more of the, hey, tell me what happened, explain to me. It's a conversation, not like a punishment.
Yeah. I love that. And I think sometimes I love it when you said the winning thing, right? Because sometimes people like somebody has to be right, so somebody has to be wrong. It could just be a win-win. It could be here's what I can do for you to help you. Here's what you can do for me to remain in policy. Let's work together. So it's a win-win. It doesn't have to be someone wins and someone loses.
It
So
does not.
you talked about, that desk work and the inevitable paperwork. How do you balance administrative tasks while also interacting with children and staff?
Ooh, that's a good one. Obviously, you have to prioritize. So there are some times of the month that you just know, okay, these 2 days are my office days, and you have to shut the world out because if not, you're going to get constantly interrupted. I have an amazing assistant director who she is my everything when it comes to the things I am not. She is super great at numbers and papers, and she does amazing things with student files, and everything's in order, and she has checklists and me, that's not my brain. That's not how I operate. ADHD at its finest is I can conquer all the things, but sometimes I forget to finish the things I started to conquer.
Yeah,
So
Leslie,
I
you
always have to come back. You got to come back. But we divide tasks. I mean, really, as a director, learning how to delegate and trusting other people to get things done. And we do double check each other. But you have to have a person who can kind of help you, whether it's your, administrative assistant at your front desk, having parents sign their monthly check-in, check-out forms, or helping get those immunization records and keep everything together. There's always an extra person who's able and willing, but you have to give them the authority to do so. You
Yeah.
have to trust who you hired.
Yeah, and I think the other thing too is like when you do that, you grow your team from within. And then also people are happy. People feel like what they're doing has meaning because it can get real monotonous, right? And then I'm just like you, Leslie. So I want to take on the world. I can't tell you how we're going to get there. I could just tell you we're going to do it.
Right.
So
Right.
my team are probably like, in the corner going, yeah, you don't say. But I think finding people to work with that are complementary to your skill set, so that way everybody can really dial in to what they're good at and be an exceptional school, right? You're very heart centered. I'm very heart centered. If working with people and making sure our people are okay, our staff, our children, our parents, if that's our thing that we're really great at, our school's going to be known for that, right? And so I think it's important to have all the pieces in place, all the people in place to really make a school excel. And that is really the secret, just like any good team, right?
Yep.
There's only one
Have a
coach, but
balance.
there's only
I
one
always felt
coach.
like when you have
Yeah.
classrooms, you always want to balance. I call it the
Yeah.
good cop, bad cop. Like you have one who's the super
Huh?
sweet, and then you have one that's a little like, I don't think
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
It's the same thing in
Yeah.
leading. I mean, I'm the very like bubbly, like
Mhm.
I have the ideas, we can vision the world out. And my assistant director is very much the structure, like we need
Yeah.
rules, we need this.
Yeah.
And I'm
That's
like,
my daughter.
right,
That's me and my daughter. I'm like the fun one, and she's like, "No, mom."
that's right.
I'm like, "Oh God, girl."
And we
But you
always
are
come
right,
together.
though. Yeah, but you are right. It is the marriage of the two.
Mm-hmm.
How would you say you approach managing and leading a team of educators and staff members in the childcare setting? Like, how do you approach that? Because management and leading is different. And so sometimes, especially the newbies, they think, I got the title now, so everything will fall in line and I'm going to just say that, right? Because there are some
Absolutely.
things we have to manage, right? And I look at it like this. Compliance are things that we have to manage, right? We have to manage that paperwork. We have to make sure that, like you said, we
Mm-hmm.
have this, we have this, we have those are things that we're managing. Leading is a whole different thing.
Totally different. I think when I first started here, I was the outsider. So I was the girl who didn't speak a whole lot of Spanish. I knew enough to talk to preschoolers. Just from my job previously, I'd learned kind of picking it up. And I had to earn the respect of my team. They really had to see that I wasn't going to come in and be, like on top of everybody doing everything. It had to be that we created a partnership with each other, and I had to find out, okay, who on the team is really good at communicating with everybody for me. You have to find the niche because there's always like a mother hen, like in every center. Our front desk person, she is like the mother hen. Everybody goes to her and tells her all the little things that are happening, but they might not come tell me, but they'll go tell her, and finding out who that person is and saying, okay, how do I gain their trust, that they can trust me with the staff and that I'm going to care for the people in my care. I think a lot of it is just those relationships that you're going to form in conversations, showing them who you are as a person. They had to learn that, like I'm the crazy girl who doesn't speak the Spanish, but I'm here to learn it all, and I will. And I have, like, at this point, I don't even need a translator, so I can communicate with teachers, with parents, with whoever. But it took time, I've been here almost 4 years, and it takes a long time to gain that trust from people and not break it. I feel like when people tell you things and then they hear it from other people, it's knowing that you're going to be a safe person for your staff, that when they're feeling down or they're feeling whatever, your door is open, have them come in and just dump the world, because sometimes staff need to just drain it out. I think leading people in childcare is totally different because the stressors that people deal with are unlike any other. You are entrusted with this group of kids that sometimes are really frustrating because you have a plan in your brain of how you want your day to go, but a 2-year-old doesn't always do what you want them to do. I love toddlers, but they are the effervescent little bubbles of energy that if you don't know how to contain it, they will rule you. They will rule your classroom. And giving teachers that outlet to vent and say, I don't know what's going on, we're having an off day, and just be able to say, this is safe. Say what you need to say, and we'll figure it out in the end,
Yeah.
And gain that trust and, invest time in your staff. That's the other thing. Like, some directors, they lead from their office and they don't leave much and they don't make connections, and they have these rules and policies, and here, sign this form and blah, 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 blah. But if you don't know your people and you don't know the people in your care, they aren't going to care and they're not going to follow you. You have to form those relationships. You have to leave your office. You have to go sit in classrooms, go in the break room, and just get to know people. I think that's the part that's missing in so many like corporate style centers and that kind of thing. Like, connections mean the world to parents, to teachers, to kids. That is the bottom line for being a great director, is being able to connect with people.
Yeah. And you're right. And you had to do the work. You had to earn it. Nobody can do that for you. They can give you a job and they can give you a title, but they cannot make people follow you, and they cannot make people like you. You have to do that on your own.
You do.
One of the things that when I sit here listening to you talk, and I love your energy, enthusiasm, is thinking about when I started a long time ago. I was pretty young. And I want to say when I came in, there was already an established group of folks, and I was younger than most. And there was a little bit of like pushback. And then when they found out at that point, I didn't have a degree and had never worked in childcare before. And how did I even get this job as a director? They were like, what is going on? But yeah, you eventually you have to win folks over. But the cool thing is, especially when you start young, you get to, if you do a great job, you get to grow up with your team. And there's just something magical about it. And you'll hear all the old folks across the land, and I'll put myself in that pile, but you'll always hear them talk about like the good old days, because when you're growing up with people and you're growing and you're going through things, there's such a bond that really just can't be duplicated. So that's why when you see people who stay at a center for a long time, the teams that can be made are really amazing, because they go through so much, right? Births of children and weddings and deaths of parents. And there's just so much that is beyond a typical job, really, because we stay, and most of us stay for a long time. How many years have you been in the field altogether?
Lord, that's a great, I think all of us are like, I have to think back. That's a long time ago. Oh, I'm at 20 years.
Okay. 20 years. I'm going to do something taboo and ask you, how old are you?
I am.
So half of your life. I too am at half of my life. Most jobs, you're not at Lowe's for half of your life. No offense, Lowe's. I'm sure that you're a great company, but I'm just saying this is like a vocation. This is a thing that if you really get plugged in, you're there most of the time till you retire. Now, maybe not at the same school, but in the vocation, you're here, you're in it. You're in it. Yeah. So
I don't plan to go anywhere, that's for sure.
I know.
I always think like, what's the out plan? And I'm like, well, there really isn't an out plan. It's just, where would you go? Like, there's no other job like it that you can have all the crazy days and still laugh about it and have a good time with it.
And we're
you know?
allowed to have crazy days, right? Like we can
Yes,
make our own. Like, you know what? Tomorrow everybody worked hard. We'll all wear pajamas to work.
right.
You cannot do that in corporate
You
America.
cannot,
You
not at
cannot.
all.
I have,
Nope.
muffins with mousses day. You cannot. There's just things that we can do here, right? There are things that we can do here to break the monotony. And,
We
in
do.
work culture, there
Mhm.
is just no work culture really,
There's
especially
not.
there is
And I always
not.
think like culture is huge. And I think like a lot of centers forget like the fun and frivolity of having this connection. You're
Yeah.
here
Yeah.
8, 10 hours a day, like this is my second family. I mean, really,
Yeah.
I have my own family at home. I have
Yeah.
3 kids, but
Hmm.
like this is my work family. So I want to have fun when I'm here. I don't want to be bored. I want to have fun things to look forward to. So like this last weekend, what did we have? We had cookies and cocoa with Santa with all the families. This weekend, we have our staff Christmas party. The
Yeah.
next week, we have a potluck of Christmas dishes where everybody signed up to bring something from
Yes.
their home country for a potluck. It's
Yeah.
the simple things when you bring people together that
Yes.
create that connection and that family, and like I always tell our staff, like we are a family, which means we are going to fight. We are not going to get along all the time. You're not. So the thing is you're trying to prepare this connection for when you're not going to get along. How do you deal with people? How do you say, I really didn't like it when you did that?
Yeah.
And be able to say the things and then move on and, laugh it off and say, well, that day was horrible. Let's just forget it. And
Yeah.
you have days like that where you leave in tears and you just can't make anything work right.
Yeah.
But being able to come back the next day and find the joy in it again, because there's always, it's going to go, like you said, it's going to ebb,
Yeah.
it's going to flow. We're going to have a great day and then we're going to have some really bad ones. But how do you balance those? Is you laugh. You have to have a great time and enjoy the people that you're with, or else you're just wasting your time. Really.
Yeah.
It's no fun.
So what advice would you give someone who's looking to start their career in childcare management or aspiring to become a childcare director? Let's go, Leslie.
Okay.
No
So
pressure.
advice.
Sell
My
it.
advice would be, we sell our field. Woo, we're amazing. Everybody wants to do this. I think is to manage your expectations. To say, I would start small. I mean, I'm so grateful that I started at a small center, that I had a chance to grow. I got my feet wet. Doing paperwork for 30 kids is totally different than doing
Yes.
paperwork for 165. Oh, and know that you don't know everything, and that's okay. None of us walk into this job knowing all the things you need to know, because every school does it different. Every place does it different. I would keep one file one way and another person keeps it another. But being flexible to those changes, and really, if you're going to do it, you got to love it. You got to love what you do, and you have to make, a joy and fun things out of your day, and really be prepared to connect with people, which means connections can sometimes hurt you. You can have those connections that do hurt. You form a great bond with a family and then something happens and they leave, or, their kids age out of your program. And then you have that hole that I miss that family, but they come back. We've
Yeah.
had kids come back and see as they grow, and it's been really cool. Nothing like childcare ages you more than seeing a kid that you had when they were in like twos class and they come back and they're a high school graduate and you're like, wow.
No, it really ages you when those kids who you had come to your school to enroll their own children.
Yes.
That's what
Oh,
ages you, honey.
I haven't done that yet. I'm not there
Yeah.
yet, but I
Yeah.
will.
Yep. It's coming.
Yeah. So I think the advice is, keep an open mind, be prepared to think on your toes, and never stop learning. I think as a director, if you stop learning, you become a dinosaur. And, things have changed even from when I started in my teaching career.
Yeah.
Things are so different now than what they are, and we don't do worksheets anymore. We do hands-on play activities, which I love. I've always been a play-based lover. And
Yeah.
as an ADD person, you're like, yes, I get to do hands-on teaching. But I think if you stop learning, then you stop growing, and then you don't even know what you're doing anymore. We do things like conferences and all of these different things that keep that knowledge flowing and connect with other directors. I think that's a huge thing too. A lot of people are wary because they're like, oh, it's competition, it's competition. Here's the thing. There are plenty of kids in this world. They're going to choose your center or they're going to choose mine, and that's okay. I think would fit great in somebody else's center,
Mhm.
I will gladly send them their way, and I don't feel like there's that animosity towards other directors. This is our passion, it's our job, it's our
Yeah.
life. So if you can connect and learn something from somebody else, I
Yeah.
think that is a huge goal and gift, like to learn from other people, that never
Yeah.
stop
I
learning
think
for
it's, you know,
sure.
it's collaboration. It's not
Absolutely.
competition, it's
Yep.
collaboration. And we all have something to share and give. And, you know, I love that you said that because there's like 5 daycares literally within 4 feet of my front door. And
Yep.
sometimes, you know, we're full. Like we have a wait list.
Hmm.
We're in the northern East Coast here, and you know, wait lists are mile long everywhere. Good centers and not great centers, right? There's a
Mm-hmm.
shortage. And I will often recommend other centers, and you know, you do get that same thing of, well, why are you doing that? I'm like, my job is to be of service to families.
Yep.
And so I'm not helping that family by saying, yeah, I'll put you on the wait list and I'll call you in a year. That does not help that family. And I
Doesn't.
feel very obligated to help our families, whether they're my customer or not. I feel like it's kind of that code of ethics of that's our job, right? And even if we don't close that enrollment, they are always going to remember your center as professional, as helpful, right? They're going to have a good feeling about your center other than, nope, sorry, can't help you. We're full. Thanks. Bye. Like, right. Yeah. So I think it's really important. And then again, if there's a center near you that's struggling with enrollment, like help them out.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't have room, who are you hurting? You're not hurting anybody.
Nope.
And
No.
I know there are people who are probably don't agree with us, Leslie, and
Hmm.
that's okay.
That's
They can have
okay.
their own podcast of how
That's
not to
right.
take care of our community. But that's not this one, right? This
That's
one is
right.
how we help each other and how we take care of each other. So before we wrap it up, is there anything that I didn't ask you that you feel like folks should know on what it really means to be a childcare director?
Really good at this, man. I have to think. I'm like, I need coffee for this conversation. I should have poured a glass before I came. I think you didn't ask as a director, how do you take care of yourself?
Okay.
And I think
Speak it, Leslie.
that's right. It's hard, I'll be honest, because you never really turn off as a director, even though you leave the center. You know, like I'm not the closer, I'm not the opener, but my brain is always on my school, you know, and to think that person, are they going to be on time today? Are the kids okay? Did everything close okay? You're never off. And if someone calls you at 2 o'clock in the morning, you're going to answer the phone and you're going to handle your staff because that's just our job. But learning to set some boundaries for yourself, you know, to say, okay, today is Sunday. I ain't talking to nobody. I'm taking care of my family. And if you need me, we can talk Monday morning. But being able to say, you know, you need time off too. And I have my owners, oh my goodness, are fantastic at this. They'll say to me, we had a crazy week. And they gave me like a gift certificate for a massage, knowing that that
Yeah,
is like my ultimate
me too.
moment. I need it. And just having people who care about you to say, hey, you look like you're having a down day. Do you need to go get a cup of coffee? Or, you know, just those kind of things. Like you need to take a break. When you get upset, usually my assistant director is like, hey, I think you need to go for a walk. And I'm like, okay, I need to go for a walk. So, you know, it's keeping that brain open to say, okay, like, if you don't take care of yourself, you cannot take care of other people. It's the same thing in parenting. You cannot pour from an empty cup if you don't keep refilling it. However that is, you get refilled. And finding out what that is as a director is incredibly important. Incredibly.
Yeah. Leslie, I could not have paid you for a better segue. Did I slip you a note? Okay, so two things that Leslie brought up. Absolutely, you have to take care of yourself. So at the beginning of this year, I thought I was going to die.
Mm.
And I wasn't sure if it was a heart attack, a panic attack, an asthma attack, but something happened to me profoundly on my playground. And I really thought I was going to die. Good news is I didn't, but I did write a book with some other women, and I talk about just this, that journey of making sure that although we love others and we pour into others, you have to make sure that it is not at the detriment of your own well-being.
Yep.
And secondly, I love what you said about constantly learning. So for folks that don't know, maybe this is your first time tuning in to our podcast, we started our own early childhood conference that is going to be a national conference that is going to happen right here in beautiful Rhode Island on May 2nd and 3rd. It's called the Early Childhood Empowerment Conference. For those of you who want to get out and meet some other folks and network and talk about all the things that make being a child care director amazing, I want you to come join us. So as always, remember guys, it's the small details that make a big impact on the success of your childcare business. That's all for today. And as always, we love you. Have a good day. Bye.
Well, all the cute little kiddos have been picked up and it's time to go home. And that'll do it for another episode of the Childcare Director's Chair. Please leave a review so Erica knows the information is helping you to manage and improve your childcare centers. Remember to subscribe to get the latest episode from Erica's Childcare Director's Chair.